Hi everyone. Well, it's a chilly, brisk fall morning, and I hate it. Okay. I'm a fan of the summertime, the good old summertime, and while it's not really cripplingly cold yet, this time of year is always an indicator that winter is right around the corner, and I have no use for winter. But be that as it may, let's get started with the topic for today. This is a subject that's not really new on my mind. It's something I've been thinking about for years now. And certainly during the entire length of duration that I've been making videos here on YouTube with this channel. And the basic topic is kind of, we all like to listen to music here. We all have interests. We all have ways of approaching our music. But there are some people that seem to have a rigid idea that you're supposed to listen to everything and you're supposed to branch out. You're supposed to sample everything and try to broaden your horizons, and with kind of a mindset that life is short, so listen to everything you can. They approach music as a kind of history lesson, or doing some kind of a serious, intense exploration, and looking at it as a study almost. And I've never gone for that, and I still don't, even though from time to time I will indeed branch out and try other things. But I don't feel like I have to do this. And it's always puzzled me, not so much that these other people want to do that. If you want to do that, good for you, more power to you. But what I've never understood is people who almost insist vehemently that you don't know anything about music and you don't really like music and you really are worthless if you don't go off the beaten track and really try to do something different. And I hate that mindset because it's just so I don't know, unfair in the sense that everybody has different desires, what they want to explore or not, what they like or don't like, what they care about or not. And even though I've had this topic in my mind for a long time now, let me tell you what happened recently that made me decide to go ahead and finally do a video on it. Someone else's channel had a video. This guy had a video about, he's doing a new series, and you'll all know who it is. I don't like dropping names, but it's obvious who it's going to be. It's somebody who's doing a series of, I really want you to get into this particular artist, people you might not have gotten into, but here's why I think you should. And that's fine, nothing wrong with that in and of itself, but this one particular artist that he started out his series with was Yoko Ono. And I think that Yoko Ono is a perfect starter for this because she does have very unconventional, very generally unappealing usually type of music for most people, even though most of these people have never heard the majority of it. But nevertheless, now I happen to be interested in Yoko Ono, and I admittedly am only interested in exploring her because of John Lennon. But I don't see anything wrong with that inherently. If I like John Lennon and if Yoko was his wife and they were partners together, I have a little bit of an interest in checking it out. I fully admit that had it not been for the fact that she was John's wife, I probably wouldn't have any inkling whatsoever to even give it a try. But it doesn't matter why you have an interest in a certain artist. It doesn't matter how come you decide that you're going to have an interest in somebody where you ordinarily may not have. The main thing is that you got there. Anyway, back to this guy's video. So he makes a video on Yoko Ono, and is a person who frequents my channel, person who frequents my live chats, who got onto this guy's channel, and he responded in the comments section something like, I don't care if Yoko Ono has one or more albums where she doesn't just scream. I just have no interest in listening to her, period. And that's perfectly fine with me. That goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago at the beginning of this video. That, you don't have to listen to everybody. It's what you like. I get it. The problem I had was this guy came back to me when I responded to him. Not for nothing, I said to him in the comments, and I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know exactly. I don't have it written in front of me. I said, Yoko Ono has more than just one or more albums where she doesn't scream. I said, I think you're just continuing your vitriolic hate towards Yoko by just assuming that. And the guy came back at me, and here's the crux of it all. He says, I'm not surprised, paraphrasing here, he says, I'm not surprised a person like you with your channel has that attitude, because all you want to listen to is top 40 hits, greatest hits albums. You never venture outside your circle or anything off the beaten path. Blah 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 blah. And first of all, it's not true. But I want to say, and I know this comes across as being self-defensive, and I hate coming across like that when it's really not necessary. But I'm also a person who's a stickler for setting the record straight. So to set the record straight, I've got no problem admitting freely that I love mainstream, commercial sounding, catchy music with interesting choruses, melodies that make you want to tap your toes to it, maybe snap your fingers. When you're out and about, the songs are so catchy that they have an earworm or a familiar chorus that sticks in your mind and you can't get it out of your mind. To me, that's what music is all about. That's what a good song is all about. So I have no shame in that. The only thing I want to maintain is that it's just not true that that's all I care about, or that's all I listen to, or that I refuse to listen to anything else. That's nonsense. So the guy was out of line with that. But there are people, though, like that. There are people who feel like, no, you've got to expand. You can't just stay where you are. You have to go out. I've expanded a lot. This particular year, I got into big band jazz, of all things, okay? I never would have thought I'd get into that, but I started to get into it, and I started to dig it. I got into early jazz, Harry James, Benny Goodman, the Dorseys, okay, that kind of thing. Glenn Miller, I was getting into that this year, and I don't say it as a defense. I say it just as like to set the record straight. You can say whatever you want, just make sure you know your facts. The facts are, I can tell you songs by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts that were not hits, that nobody's ever heard, but Joan Jett and her first band, the Runaways, rock and roll stuff that's obscure. Johnny Cash is obscure, stuff that I've been getting into. Bob Dylan, I love Bob Dylan, and with Bob Dylan, it's not just all about the song Like a Rolling Stone. I like a lot of Dylan stuff, early and recent. So I do get into the other stuff too, but it's not my main goal in life. But again, I'm getting away from the main topic, is why do people get so adamant and so downright nasty and intense about it and dismissive of you if you like what you like? We don't all like the same thing. And more importantly, we're not interested in the same thing. Which brings me back to the guy who made the comment on this other guy's video about me. He is saying blatantly, even if Yoko Ono doesn't scream in all her songs, which she doesn't, she sings some of them nicely, he says, I am just not interested. In fact, he put periods. I, period, am not, period, interested, period. He was adamant about it. And the same guy turns on me and says, I don't broaden my horizons. Meanwhile, I do listen to Yoko Ono. So how much more way out there and off the beaten path can you be than Yoko Ono? So what is this about people that just insist that you have to do it this way? If you're a music fan, you got to try everything. You can't just like what you like. I have my reasons. I'm a certain age now. I feel like if I was like 16, 17 years old, I would spend the rest of my life into my 80s venturing out. At this particular time, it's my own decision that I pretty much am happy with what I like. And that doesn't mean that if I leave here right now and I walk over to the car and I turn on a radio station I never heard before, and all of a sudden there's a song that I didn't know before, but I think it's catchy or I like it, I'd go right out and buy the album. It doesn't mean I wouldn't do that. But I just don't feel any desire that music has to be, safari. You don't have to go on a wild safari. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes with the magnifying glass, always going out there and trying everything. There's a guy in the record store. It's a good guy. He doesn't work there only a couple of days a week, but his thing is the same thing. This guy wants to hear every record ever recorded. He's constantly putting on an album. He'll listen to it, take it off halfway through, next album, put it on. And he's got a vocabulary, very impressive knowledge and vocabulary of practically any band, any solo artist, any era. He can tell you all about the band, Joy Division, any band you want to name, Joy Division. I couldn't care less about Joy Division. That's me. You know what I mean? But that's not to say that if some guy was walking by here with a boombox right now and had a Joy Division song on, and I said, hey, oh, yo, what is that song? Who's that by? Joy Division? Hey, that's cool. Doesn't mean I wouldn't listen to it or like it. Doesn't mean I might not go out and purchase it even. All I'm saying is, for me personally, I'm just not interested in going crazy seeking this stuff out. If it comes to me, I'll welcome it. It's happened with a lot of music. I was in my store one day, in the record store, and the owner was playing a really weird kind of unworldly type of music by a group called, or an act called, Mazzy Star. Mazzy Star, Hope Sandoval. Never heard of her before. I thought it was really enjoyable, from the 90s. Now, I wouldn't have gone out and actively sought that out, but because it came in my way, I liked it. By the way, Hope Sandoval is not top 40 either. So just for what that's worth. So what are your feelings on this? And let me know. Because, music is about enjoyment and live and let live, If you don't like what you see on my channel, then why are you here so much, making comments every day, joining in, being in the live chats? If you don't like me, think I got no taste in music, think I'm not experimental enough for you, there are plenty of other channels. Or better yet, start your own. Thanks, everybody.